Good morning, everybody. Welcome into another edition of the Parenting Puzzle with the amazing Dr. Daniela Owen. How you doing today, Dr. D?
I am doing great. And thank you for your patience with me. I am on the go today because I have a non napper during winter break. So here we are.
Hey, what do we say all the time? Parenting is
Parenting is
hard.
hard, full stop. So here we are, living it live.
Dr. D's goal for the New Year's is to get 10,000 steps a day. So she's working on that early. All right. That's what we're doing. So I'm super duper pumped. I think we're going to have our best episode yet because we have a special guest. She's an amazing person. She has years and years of experience in education, typically around special education. So without further ado, we got somebody awesome jumping on the Speedster Squad hotline. Ms. Donna, how are you doing today? Can you introduce yourself, kind of what you do and who you are, and we'll take it from there.
Yes. Hi, Jake. Hi, Dr. D. Thank y'all for letting me join in. I am a speech language pathologist. I've actually been doing this, it's kind of even weird to say, for 30 years. And in my journey, I've worked with all sorts of people, all sorts of ages, and lots of different settings, but have landed in the birth to 5 age group as my absolute favorite. And I've just been on a journey to work with children and their parents with learning differences, communication differences, and I'm happy to kind of be here.
We are super happy to have you here too, and I'll let Dr. D jump in whenever she wants. But you know, the whole purpose behind our podcast, the Parenting Puzzle, and why we started this back in September, Ms. Donna, is because we want to get really good resources out to the parents who are struggling and need it, right? So that's why we wanted to do this. So we're in the midst right now. We're just getting through the Christmas holiday, right? I think there's another full week off of school. Is that correct? So we've got another week left of school where kids are just getting out of their rhythm with school, right? They're in the new rhythm of sleeping in, staying up late. And when you look at, for parents that might be already worrying about how am I going to get my child back in the rhythm of school come Monday, a week from today, do you have any pointers or tips on that? And I'm going to open that up for Dr. D as well.
Yes. I think this week for all of us, like what day is it even? I think we all sort of lose focus from our typical routines. I like to remember about children that they don't have the context, they don't have the background knowledge that we have, and they count on us to help them organize life and their response to it. So this week we get off with just sleep schedules and diets and the people that we see and the things that we do. And adults can adjust to that kind of easily. But for children, especially some children, it can really rock their little worlds. And so I think that if we just, first of all, remember that about them. And so we might need to pay attention to when we are doing our daily routines, kind of staying on some sort of schedule. And especially the closer that you get to school, you might want to start looking at bedtimes and waking up times and what we're eating and when we're eating. I can remember when I had kids in the house, they wanted to snack all day long. And I thought, how do you go to school all day and not snack all day long? You need to get your school appetite because we're running out of food. But so I think us paying attention to the environment is definitely one thing. One of the special things about the holidays is how much time they do get to have with their parents and other family members who love them. And that is so special. Sometimes when we are going to school and going to work, those times can be cut short. So to make sure we savor the moments, but maybe we talk about friends at school. Maybe we talk about our teachers. Maybe we get things ready for school. Sometimes I like to play school. If we're playing with little people, I like to have the babysitter in there or talk about how we line up to go into the lunchroom and just kind of make it a part of our conversation while we're having our special time with family. Those are some of the things I like to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. So just kind of like thinking about before it gets to that next Monday and it's like, oh my God, I'm back to school, doing things to shift them more to that routine.
If there's no semblance of what we typically do during school and come Sunday night and Monday morning, and you're trying to just jump right back in, you can probably bet that it's going to be harder. So yes, I love the idea of a gradual transition.
Yeah. I have a quick follow-up, Donna. So if we were just focus on parents that have a child that has special needs, how important is order and consistency? And I know every child is different. Mm-hmm. Every child is different. But how important is consistency and order, routine for a child that has some kind of special educational needs?
Well, it can be very important. I think it's really beneficial for all children, but particularly when there's some kind of difference in how they process their world or experience their world. If we can keep things consistent, then they know what to expect. So it helps give them a framework for how to think about what's happening, how to respond to what's happening. It might help them to be able to find their words easier. So it's a very good thing to be mindful about as a parent. But at the same time, it's also good to use the framework of your routine to start talking about how things can change and how that can be okay too, how unexpected things can happen. So I'm not trying to put it on parents that you always have to have everything the same, but it's a good place to start. And then when you have that, it's a place to go back to when the struggle gets harder, because growing up, parenting, all of it is a season. And there's going to be times where it's tougher. There might be a feeding struggle. There might be a sleeping struggle, like Dr. D is living right this very minute. And the routines, the consistency is almost like a launching pad or a sounding board. It's something you can go back to. But then when things are different, you can learn how to deal with that because there's a frame of reference, if that kind of makes sense.
No, it makes
that before, but I'm wondering if there's sort of a more thoughtful way that parents of kids with special needs want to be thinking about that, and especially in terms of the transition back to school compared to other times.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's such a great point. I think that for all children, one of the things I love to remind my families is that our children do as well as we do. And so when we are relaxed or we're confident, we can remain calm. It really helps all children to find that regulated space as well. But I think even more so for special needs children who can have trouble even just maintaining a sense of regulation, that our calm is one of the first and foremost things that we can do. Then to take it a step further, we may need to give them some of the language to help know how to respond. What I like to do is kind of throw things out there and see what the child resonates with. A lot of times they'll let me know, like, oh no, it fell down. I need help. And that's a much preferred response than screaming about it or having a meltdown. They may need visual supports as reminders of how to handle whatever's coming their way. And then my favorite way for children to work with children in learning anything is to play. I think that that's the work of childhood, and I think it's the way that they can process and learn the skills that they need to respond to anxiety, to kind of play it out. I love to do that. Then with special needs, it might take more repetition. I think for me that, the level of support from the adult and the repetition is probably the big difference between a neurotypical child and any kind of child with special needs. So,
yeah, great answer, Donna. So I know, and we appreciate you greatly coming on this podcast and dealing with our mess. And you've given some great insight, but I want to take it back to one thing that you said that I thought was interesting was for parents that have children that have some kind of special need, right? It might take more repetition and more work and more time on task. I'm curious about, in your career in education, is there any go-to resources that you would recommend to parents that have either with or without any kid, I guess, but specifically around kids with special needs, that they could easily find, grab, that might have tips, that might have tricks, that might have things that they can try when they're crossing through a situation that maybe they haven't had before, that might give them some support?
So probably my first and foremost recommendation to any parent that ever comes to me is that I want to make sure that they know that their relationship with their child, their love for their child, being able to play with and enjoy their child, that creates the biggest space for that child's growth.
Hmm.
And it makes me sad, but a lot of times over the years, I've seen people that get obsessed with what's broken or what's wrong. And so I always want people to know that your child isn't broken. They're just on a different path. Their journey might look a little different than we were thinking. And to encourage them to just love their baby where they're at, where they are, and to create those moments of enjoyment. So then also with that in place, definitely finding support. Every state has some sort of early intervention program. If you are not sure, if you have any kind of questions or concerns as a parent, it's the best move is to reach out as soon as you're wondering. You'll either be able to have a conversation where you find out, okay, everything's kind of on track, or if not, to get some people to join you on your journey. That could be speech language pathologists like me. It could be a special instructor, an occupational therapist, physical therapist, behavior specialists. There's all kinds of people out there. At 3 years old, all across the country, the public school system will take over. And every child is entitled to consideration or an evaluation by the school system. Now that has school system guidelines, and it's just one part of the journey. But it's out there, it's free, it's available to
question. The best first suggestion I always have is to ask your pediatrician. Their wealth of information. Pediatricians also see kids all day, so they're pretty good barometer of things that are within the normal range, but maybe just on the fridges, and things that actually are potentially more problematic or worth looking into. And exactly to Donna's point, early intervention makes such a difference in terms of outcomes. And so being able to ask the questions early and get some help early on is such an important way to get the answers you need. And sometimes, it's a false positive. Or sometimes there really is help out there that's accessible to parents that's going to make things go so much more smoothly. And I really love, Donna, what you said about focusing on the positives and the things that are working rather than getting so caught up on what isn't working, because that's really a place where parents just get into a high level of distress and I think stop feeling connected to their kids. And the whole point of parenting for most of us is to have that connection. So bringing it back to the connection, as you were saying, is such a beautiful and important and impactful way to help parents make some strides in the right direction with getting their kids some help if they need it.
Yes, for sure.
Don, I just wanted to turn it over to you one more time, and just my round of applause for you. You are a natural. If you want to come and be a recurring guest on the Dr. D, think about it. I think my number one takeaway with any child, it's all about like loving them where they're at, and like really enjoying those moments with our kids. I thought that was amazing. So let me play this little thing I made, and then we are going to do the last word with Dr. D. All right, Dr. D, you got the last word.
Okay. I was prepared this time. I was taking notes. So Donna said something so important, and I really just want to reiterate this because I think that this is one of the key components of good parenting. And I'm practicing it right now, everyone. So like you're getting it live. But tolerating your kid's distress as a parent, and Donna, you said being confident, being calm, staying cool, modeling that for your child is essential. It's such a big deal. When kids see parents staying calm and regulating themselves, it is one of the most helpful things for kids to know. Number one, this is a safe situation for me to regulate. And number two, watching regulation in action being modeled for them so they can start to take from their parents and learn and do themselves. And so if I could say my takeaway for today is distress tolerance. A huge percentage. I don't want to give a number. Sometimes I give a number and, I question myself because we don't really have research on this. But I can say with confidence that a huge percentage of good parenting is just tolerating the distress of those moments with your kids. And if you can yourself regulate, stay calm, take some deep breaths, keep a smile on your face, know that it's going to be okay. Even if there's a little background noise in this video, I'm sorry, everyone. But we wanted to be able to talk to you about transitioning back to school. We wanted to be able to get Donna's time while she was available to us. And so here we are. If you can tolerate distress and meet your kids with patience and love, you're on the right track. And all the rest you will be able to handle. I'm confident of that.
That is a great ending. One more time, Donna. We love that you were able to come on. I love you. I thought you did an amazing job. We'd love to have you on again. Dr. D, thank you for the commitment to this podcast. Obviously, these are not our normal circumstances, but amazing that you were still able to jump on. I don't know if you ever got him or her to go to sleep. I don't know. Unsuccessful. See, parenting is super hard. But I have to say this every time at the end. If you like this podcast, if you got a little tip, if you got a little trick from the things that Donna or Dr. Daniela Owen said, I'm obviously just the regular parent that's struggling, looking for these tips. So if you're somebody like me that's getting a lot of value out of this podcast, please share, like, subscribe. We're on Spotify. We're on YouTube. I think Dr. D got us on Instagram a little bit. Please, that's the best way for us to grow it. We love doing this. And yeah, guys, Happy New Year. Thank y'all so much.
Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please consider subscribing and leaving us a review. It really helps us out and lets others discover the show.